Hello everyone, I am Taureor and welcome to my newest Hearts of Iron 4 video. Now with By Blood Alone. Yes, the new DLC is here and Paradox is actually sponsoring this video so that I can show you all the nice features of the new expansion. If you'd like to buy the expansion, you will find my link down in the description below, and if you use it to get the game, you're actually letting Paradox know that it's a good idea to sponsor my videos. It changes a lot, but among other things, it fleshes out Ethiopia, Italy, and Switzerland. Ethiopia being the most difficult, so let's do Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a tough country to play and a lot has changed. Recently the play was to just put your troops over here and wait Italy out. Well, it's more complicated now, so I've decided to prepare a guide on how to win as Ethiopia. I'm going to show you how to push the Italians out of Africa and get all their stuff in the process. It's fairly complicated, but not that difficult. Let's do regular difficulty, historical focuses, and Ironman mode. Even though it's a guide, I'm gonna play it on Ironman, so you know for sure that it actually works. Let's get into the game. The Ethiopian focus tree is now very extensive. There's military stuff, industry, this pertains to that specific war with Italy, and of course the big one, the main choice of your course, and the decision on how we're gonna beat the Italians. There are three paths. You can reach out to the Italians when you abandon all hope like a little bit like a weak person and submit yourself to the Italians. We're going to ignore that. Now, this is a valid focus tree because you can actually become their puppet and destroy them from the inside and stuff like that. So it can be an interesting playthrough, but we're not going to do that. We will not submit ourselves. Then there's the communist path. This is actually the easiest one to take if you want to beat the Italians, because with Soviet aid you get insane amounts of guns, which make this almost trivially easy. If you reach this spot, Soviet rifles, you win. But the Soviets are going to ask for stuff in return. Nothing is free in the world. Now you can also do communism on your own, but that is not what we're doing today either. We're going to do it alone. We don't need anybody's help to deal with Italy. We shall rally around the Emperor, our glorious leader with the best name ever. See, we are Haile Selassie, by the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, elect of God. No other leader compares, not even Zog, he's just King Zog. So, we've chosen our path, we will do it alone, and we will beat the Italians. The Italians are much stronger than we are, so we have to be very careful, cautious, plan everything, and do some micromanagement. I hate micromanagement, but we have to. So, the strategy I developed for this is fairly simple, but requires you to pay attention and not let anyone through. Let's take these 7 units into one army, and we're going to paint a fallback line over here. Why here? Well, this is the desert. It's not that easy to defend, and these are hills and mountains. Much easier. We could of course do these 3 provinces, but with the way it's set up, it's actually more difficult to defend them. I've tested this a bit. Also, we'll have a river to benefit from, so we're gonna need a general. We have a lot of cool generals, and there are a few ways you can go here. Mulugeta, for example, is an infantry leader, which is a great starting trait. But I'm going with the hill fighter. He'll get the infantry traits, and he will keep the hill fighter with 10% attack and defense on hills, which is this and this. That should help a lot. Now we're gonna take the rest of our troops, assign them to a second army, and take the mountaineer, Ayalev Biru. Again, there are other good choices, but the mountaineer trait will actually be helpful. We could try and risk holding these 3, but it would be too difficult, because this little country here is the Sultanate of Ausa, and they are going to submit to the Italians. And suddenly we're surrounded. So taking that into account, let's paint another fallback line, and actually paint it like this. And once Ausa submits, we're also gonna take this province here. And all of these are mountains, and we're protected by a river here. Now eventually, we'll probably have to retreat from here to also take advantage of the river, but not immediately. As for civilian factories, we don't have enough to do anything with them. Let's buy some steel and maximize gun production. As for research, I'm gonna boost my guns. No field marshal for now. Don't worry, the King of Kings will lead the armies himself. The initial setup is done, speed the game up and unpause. And here we actually have to do some micromanagement. We'll have to be retreating soon. Yes, they're attacking us. I could let them fight, but it's better to retreat when we can. No need to waste our resources. Retreat here. We don't want to hold these provinces. Don't fight. There's no need. The Italians are attacking and they're stronger than us, so we do have to be very smart about this. Retreating, good. Now, do not go too fast on this. Make sure you're controlling the situation. See? You retreat. Now we're actually also going to start training the Chitet or Hitet Safari. I'm not sure what the name is. We can have up to 10 of these, and that's what we're going to train. Now they're special because they take very little equipment, so they're perfect for our very poor situation. And priorities: garrisons, then new units, then reinforcements. I'll start training them immediately and deploying them as soon as I can. It's gonna take a while because our production capabilities are terrible. There are a few new things, including the balance of power, which we can use to get an extra unit, but I don't think we'll have to. Also, these are special templates with a limited amount that can be trained, and we can't edit them, just like this one can't be edited. But we can train normal units, so it's not a bad situation. We also have a lot of modifiers, which are generally not so good. For example, we cannot join factions. Our construction and research is handicapped, our industry is terrible, and our army is backwards as well. But none of that will stop us. Pay attention to what's going on, make sure to move the units around if it becomes necessary, and also pay attention to Ausa because we'll have to advance into their territory. Okay, and 2 units here defending. That should be enough because they're going over a river and we're defending in the hills. This is hills as well, no river, but just 1 enemy province accessing it, and this has 2 enemy provinces accessing it, but it's mountains, so it's easy to defend, relatively. We'll have to give up some territory and we'll be locked out of economic focuses. Actually, I could have started by doing Develop Sheva, but it would cancel as soon as the Italians took something, so this will have to wait. We're doing rally around the Emperor so we can get him as a field marshal. Alternatively, you can start with the Second Italo-Ethiopian War for some extra defense, but it's temporary and I don't think it's worth it to do it at the start. You, retreat. No need to fight. So far so good. They're attacking, but they're attacking over a river into the mountains. Make sure to pay attention and send reinforcements when needed. For example, now I'll send some reinforcements because I can. The southern part is where we want to stay. The Italians have advanced now, so I'm going to switch the fallback line to a frontline order. Where are you moving? No. We want 3 units here. You stay. Yeah, this is good. I'm on speed 4, which might be excessive. You might want to go down to make sure you don't miss anything. And like this, Italy moves to annex the Sultanate of Ausa. Let's await the response and respond to their response immediately. They submit to the Italian demands and they're next. No problem, just pause the game here and send some units over. 1 here to block the Italian advance and 3 or 2. 2 here will be enough. You stay where you are. We just want the mountainous province. This is not defensible, but I'm sending them to both so that we can pin any Italians moving in, which might be necessary. Don't forget to check your southern front line as well. See, we've pinned the Italians, and there we are. Now redo your orders. I'm actually going to change my fallback line a little bit. We'll go behind the river here. It's going to be easier to hold this because now they can attack this province from 3 sides, which is very difficult to defend from. Alright, you can stop attacking the Italians, reinforce this bit here, and you guys actually retreat. Yeah, I gave them all specific orders where to go, but just retreating is fine. The south is doing fine, we are okay. But the Italians will be using stuff like force attack orders. Watch out for that. Okay, this is perfectly defensible. Just make sure to move your troops around if they're under heavy attack. Of course, you can do better than this. You can trap some Italian forces. At ParadoxCon, I actually saw Dankers repeatedly encircle the Italian army and defeat them, but that's pretty difficult to pull off. And what I'm doing here is very repeatable, so each of you should be able to do this. Also, Dankers is Dankers. So far, so good. Also, in the north, we have achieved the front line we want. Cancel the fallback line to a frontline order. Rally around the Emperor. Now we have our Field Marshal, Haile Selassie himself. Now we could do defensive for entrenchment, but I found that entrenchment is not really that useful here, because our traditional warfare modifier limits it significantly. So instead I'm going to do charismatic and probably offensive doctrine, because extra attack always helps a little bit. And we can deploy our first unit. Let's reinforce the south, because the north is looking okay. Also, our generals are going to advance real fast, especially the northern one. Let's go down this path because we want to do volunteers. Those extra 2,000 guns will actually help us a lot. The Emperor stays. Alright, we got an extra military factory here, but I don't have any steel. Not really a problem. They're attacking, but it's all in the green. As long as you pay attention, you should be fine. Let's send some reinforcements over here. This is not too good. Let's send an extra unit to help. Just try to keep everything in the green and do not attack. Hold these 2 lines. Our next unit is about ready. Deploy it. Send it to help. It won't have much organization, but every bit helps. If you're in a difficult situation, you can try doing last stand. Emperor stays, now the lion stands firm. Haile Selassie is gonna get extra experience and defense. Also, it boosts our infantry. We have enough political power to hire someone, but we don't have enough command power for these guys unless we want a maneuver genius. Now, this can be helpful if we're moving around quite a lot, but I'd rather get a flat bonus to defense or offense. Also, we have to watch out because these two guys have multiple advisor roles. For example, Imro Haile Selassie can be a political advisor, military high command guy, or the chief of army. For now, let's hire Ilma Deresa, who's the Minister of Finance. We'll get more guns thanks to him. Need some help in the center. Retreat 1 unit from the south. It will take care of it. Sadly, the micromanagement is necessary, but we are holding off a major power as Ethiopia, so we kinda have to work for it. So use the retreat option here, because we want to send one to the north. Just make sure everything is in the green and you'll be fine. New unit. Let's reinforce the southern border. In my experience, it's better to have more units without equipment than less units with full equipment, at least for defense. Reinforce our south. This guy's already level 3, and so is this one. We're gonna make them advisors. Alright, and I'll make Haile Selassie offensive. Now, defensive works too. But offensive will help us when we are retaking the territories. Also, it gives him +1 attack. New unit, deploy them as soon as you can. This place here needs some help. They're doing force attack. This is the most dangerous moment. It ran out, but let's still reinforce. This is why I am sending all my troops south for now. We have many more up north and they have mountains. Speaking of which, another unit, here we go. Essentially, every time you see any color other than green, try to reinforce that place. Also, war escalation is going to help us tremendously. See, this counts as holding the north and this counts as holding the south. Now, these are war escalation is going to jump from 2 to 5, giving us bonuses and the Italians penalties. Well, this pertains to the League of Nations and all that. Now that is really irrelevant because they don't want to do anything. See, international reputation grows. Extra political power. We're going to hire Kasa Haile Darge because he gives us political power and war support. And use 100 political power for improved worker conditions. Also, another unit. As soon as my guys get infantry leader and then infantry expert, they will become much more powerful. Italian offensive removed. The lion stands firm. Now, we have an interesting choice. The heroes of Ethiopia boosts our infantry a little bit and gives some of the advisors a boost, but those are the advisors I'm not using. If we do learning from the enemy, we'll get plane and tank tech, which is completely useless to us. However, we'll also get factory output 10% and we'll shift the balance of power 5% to the right, which is something we want to do. So I'm actually going to select learning from the enemy. Another unit ready to deploy. At this point, both borders should be more or less secure. I guess we can also put some more manpower into the field. Mehal Safari is our regular infantry template. It's 8 width. I'm going to boost it to 10 width. We do have the experience. Now that the south is pretty much secure enough, I'm going to send the rest of these guys to the north. The main thing about these guys is that they take 80 infantry equipment per battalion rather than 100 of normal infantry. They're also weaker, but the equipment thing is crucial here. Got the level 4 and infantry leader. Excellent. Infantry expert, please. I'm actually going to promote him to field marshal. It is fairly expensive, and give him the offensive doctrine to get him +1 attack. And he can now become army offense specialist. We'll need that for our counterattack. These guys just got attack and defense bonuses from him getting the infantry traits, so the southern border is pretty much okay. Now we reinforce the north. Oh, and he got a level as well. Level 4. Infantry expert, of course. And make him an infantry specialist when we have the command power. Yep, infantry specialist. We do have another infantry specialist, but this guy is going to be on the front lines all the time. He'll get to level 6 and even level 8 pretty quickly, giving us a tremendous boost. Same for him. We can't hire them yet because our command power is too low. We're pretty much in the stalemate phase now. Neither side can push further. Of course, we're too weak to retake the territories, but it doesn't look like the Italians can make any progress either. Now, this can be deceptive. They can mass a big attack and use force attack on that. You have to be cautious. Like down here. Let's send a unit of reinforcements. Don't take any other field marshal traits. He's just gonna be a general. Keep deploying troops. Now, we are at our limit for Shited Safari. You can extend that limit. That pertains to another decision here. See, you can keep your levies, because those are levy troops that go away in peacetime. You can lean into that, boost them and get more, or you can reform your army to a more standard model with regular manpower laws. Because, as you can see here, you get 4.5 recruitable population, which is plenty, but your economy suffers and you can't change that normally. So we want to move away from it, but you can't move away from it unless you bring your balance of power to the middle here, to political equilibrium, and moving this slider costs you stability. Or you can do it by focuses. Sadly, most of them are here and they're locked behind owning all your states. Let's fill the last political advisor slot. I feel like there are two good choices here. Imru Haile Selassie, modernist and reformer, +5 stability, +5 research speed, or Getachew Abate, lack of resources penalty decreased. Let's go with Imru for the research speed, but both choices are good. Oh right, I forgot I was supposed to keep deploying troops, sorry. Now we're going to need to create a new template. If you go to the division designer, this will default you to this one, which you can't edit. So we have to get to Mehal Safari, edit that, and here create an empty template and just 1 cavalry. I'm going to fill these 2 armies to be full armies. My cavalry, we'll use that template for garrisons as well. So we'll need 10 for you and 7 for you. That's 17 cavalry. Once, please. As usual, deploy them as soon as you can. We'll do that in the capital. Those are just 1 battalion, so they should train fast. And here in occupied territories, it's pretty important to switch to the cavalry. As you can see, what we're using is pretty expensive. And then I'm gonna select martial law immediately. Why? Because when we take the Italian territories, they will have very high unrest. See, resistance strength is already 26 and it's growing. They're not doing very well keeping them contained. And once we reach them, it's gonna be catastrophic. So I'm preemptively setting this to martial law, so we start reducing that resistance as soon as we get there. This is all looking very secure, but do not get complacent. They can still threaten you. Also, if you're playing a non-historical, a bunch of weird stuff can happen. Like in one of my test games, Italy attacked Yugoslavia, got into a war with France, Mussolini got killed, and they got a civil war, which immediately ended, leaving me without the ability to kill them, which was terrible because I wanted to kill them. Next national focus, we do volunteers. This is going to give us 2,000 guns, which in our current production ability is more than half a year worth of production, which is a lot. And we'll be able to deploy all these guys immediately, almost immediately. We have a free factory, these will fluctuate. Let's spend that on steel. Now with 30 command power and 50 political power, we can hire our infantry specialist. Now we could have used Imru Haile Selassie, but he's more useful here, I think. Also he will advance quickly. Our infantry is seriously boosted now. We can deploy some of our cavalry. Let's do that. And actually, let's change the picture on Mehal Safari. Is there like a lion here? No, but there's a paw. That will do. Now, the ones I've deployed, we're going to switch to that. And now, as many of them as we can are going to get switched to mountain divisions. Managed to switch 3. Oh, I have a better idea. Switch 1 back. We would actually be better off if we expanded the mountaineers to a 10 width. Let's do that. So 2 extra mountaineers and boosted the ones we already had. Assign all these guys to the northern bit. Well, not all of them. That's too many. Enough to make a full army. They don't really have guns, but as soon as they get manpower, they should actually start being helpful. Some reinforcements needed. See, you have to keep monitoring the situation, because this is dangerous. Very dangerous, in fact. More reinforcements. See, they're attacking from 2 sides and using force attack. Support weapons, excellent. And infantry equipment 1. Now, boost our research speed and basic machine tools. Start producing weapons 1. They're much stronger. Now, we could keep doing basic equipment for faster production, but this actually doubles the soft attack and quadruples the piercing. So, infantry equipment 1. Keep sending reinforcements, because this is a dangerous situation. Enough command power to make Haile Selassie a logistics wizard. Volunteers completing. Extra manpower is helpful, but the guns are more important. With that, all of these guys should train up very soon. Yes, excellent. And we've reached the fait accompli thing. Do not do this until you've taken all the Italian territories. This will leave for when we're doing the counteroffensive, time for the military school. So deploy all these units, switch them over to infantry, and send them to the southern border. Now that we have more troops in the field, can we get any more mountaineers? No. That's fine. And now all the guns will be going to reinforcements, so we should be secure. But do pay attention as always. At this point I'm pretty confident that we're set and safe, so I'm going to speed the game up to speed 5, but keep my eye on it all the time so I can pause and send reinforcements if necessary. Now we have to build up our strength a little bit more so that we can counterattack. Also, the Italians are gonna get a penalty soon. Army of Africa disheartened. Essentially, we're gonna wait for the war escalation to cripple the Italians and then strike back and kill them. With the military school focus, we can essentially choose bold attack, tenacious defense, or meticulous preparation for free, but this will have additional effects on traditional warfare modifier. This is attack plus 10%, this is defense 5%, and this is experience gain 5%. So clearly attack 10% is better. So let's focus on attack, which will also be helpful when we strike back. Next focus. Here we come to the choice. Keep your levies or modernize your system. We're going to modernize our system, but not just yet. First, let's go down here. Time to hire the regrouping specialist. Now we could get a third army and put him in charge of that so he would get levels. It's an option. You can send another army to the northern border. We do have the manpower for it, but I'm going to keep it the way it is now. We're going to have a lot of political power soon. So let's do Anti-Fascist Raids. That's +2 stability essentially in the long run. Not a lot. Level 6 already, which levels him up to infantry expert. When he reaches level 8, he'll be a genius. I'm not sure when this went to 40%. We were at 30 last time I checked. Must have missed something. Oh well, let's do localized education reforms. 5% research speed. Now we could do support local road development, but I think this will cover all our territory if we wait until we've taken the Italian stuff. Seriously though, I have no idea when we jumped to 40. Improve the administration. Mechanical computing. Setting us up for the long run. Let's employ the army offense specialist. It's this guy, so when he advances, he'll get stronger. Although they seem to not be attacking in the south, really, so he might not. This guy, though, level 6 and growing. Also, be wary of stuff like bolster spirit, encourage frugality, and exhort heroism. They do look amazing on the surface, but they don't boost your war support. As such, they lower the penalty you have. So, for example, I have minus 0.07 combat casualties. I could exhort heroism, and theoretically that looks like a lot of war support, but it would only clear the penalty. School of Technology, extra research slot. Concentrated industry, more guns. Oh, I forgot. When you have enough army experience, get professional officer corps. Or you could get something else if you want, but I do like getting this because it increases your command power and experience gain. Now we could get the entrenchment specialist, but our maximum entrenchment is actually pretty low. So unless you want to go with the grand battle plan, it's not like it didn't do much. Maximum of 4% entrenchment. That's not a lot of entrenchment. Army morale boost. See, that's from war escalation. 5% organization, 10% defense. Excellent. It's only getting better. Oh yeah, you're going to be an improvisation expert. And guerrilla as well, why not? And now we're pretty much locked out of the best focuses. This is only useful when you do the counteroffensive, and it's still a bit early for that. This is locked until we take our territory back. If you want to keep your levies, you can do this, but I want to go this way. In retrospect, I probably should have used this decision once when we were closer to the right side, but it costs around, 13 stability to do it. And now I'd have to do it twice. Now let's do scavenging tactics. That's going to give us some more guns taken from the enemy. Not a lot, but every bit helps. And we don't really have anything better to do right now. And use our third research slot. Let's do radio. Enough political power to change something. Let's take free trade. It's going to boost pretty much everything. And now the Abuna. It unlocks some advisors, but they're not that great. Still, it's 35 days for 5% stability and 50 political power. So it's a net positive. Now, if I had unlocked this earlier, I would go down this path, but we haven't, so I'm just going to wait a little bit. We want the war to escalate a little bit more, because the longer this takes, the weaker the Italians are. Theoretically, you could try and start your counteroffensive now. It's a bit too early, in my opinion, to make this consistent. You could win, but it's a risk. Instead, war economy. Also, our stability is pretty high, so I suppose we can risk modernizing our army. We will get a lot of stability once we've dealt with the Italians. So yeah, let's increase the power of the Mekvanint, which is the right side of the balance of power. Expensive stability-wise. More competing machines. Now, if you only want to beat Italy, this is pointless, but it sets you up nicely for the long run. Well, actually, this is almost on time, so let's boost our infantry more, and we can do the competing machine after radio. See, our balance of power is shifting, but we'll have to take this decision twice in order to be able to modernize our army. And thanks to war economy, we now can build something, just one something. War escalation, next level. Italian public questions war effort. Let's get the military theorist, and I guess I'll get the entrenchment specialist after all, just for the army experience he gives. Oh, Nice. Our guy has become a skilled staffer. He's also level 7 already. Sadly, we can't employ him as 2 advisors. Anyways, now he can hold 6 more units. So let's make 6 more units. Sadly, we're at 17% only, and we need to be at 15 to get the focus I want. Oftentimes, you'll get events that let you choose between the 2 sides of the balance of power. And just one event that would move it to the right by 5% would enable the thing. We were not lucky enough to get that, sadly. Deploy the units, switch to infantry, and let's see if we can get more mountaineers. No. Alright, go north, get ready. You'll be fighting soon. At this point you can attempt your counteroffensive. To be sure we succeed, I'd like to wait a little bit longer, but this will hurt our development in the long run, so let's start preparing to push back. The second Italo-Ethiopian war is going to boost us temporarily. Bunches of Austria. Yeah, I need to hurry up before the Italians join the Axis, don't we? Let's paint the others so they can start planning stuff. We need to take the 3 ports, and then the Italians are done for. Renewed offensive, and we can actually afford a doctrine. 10% soft attack, very powerful, but we won't be able to make full use of the superior firepower doctrine as Ethiopia because we are poor, and we will essentially always be poor until we conquer someone like the Soviet Union and get lots of factories. Grand Battle Plan is great for entrenchment. Just unlocking the first one would make it much more difficult to beat our troops that are entrenching themselves in the mountains, but at this point we don't really need that anymore. If we got that at the start of the game, wonderful. So I'm going with mass assault, because realistically we will only be using very cheap troops because that's all we can afford. See, I'm just using small infantry units and I still can't get enough guns. And operational reserves will help us a little bit once we are able to unlock that. Now, alternatively, if you got an event that let you choose between the 2 sides of the balance of power, namely Mesafint and Mekvanint, however you pronounce that, you'll be able to take this focus here and then further boost your troops. Sadly, that is not the case for us. More industry boosts. Realistically, I could have done that. Renewed offensive, and now we have to choose victory in the desert or northern thrust. Northern thrust is better because the desert is pretty easy anyway. And once this finishes, we will be attacking. What's your level? Level 7. Local Lord wishes... Oh, exactly. This is one of the events I was talking about. Sadly, it's a bit late for that now, isn't it? Since I'm already doing the Northern Thrust. And it does give you a civilian factory, which is pretty nice if you only have 4 factories. So we can take this, keep being locked out of modernizing our army, but get a factory, or be able to modernize our army. Let's take the second option. Yay, we can now expand the Mehal Safari. We will do that soon, but since I already started the Northern Trust thing, should we abandon that? No, this will be in time with the next war escalation thing, and we're strong enough to beat the Italians. If you're not feeling confident, you can wait until the war escalation gets even further, but make sure to not wait too long, or the Germans will join in, and then you are dead. Let's take organization first. At level 6 for Haile Selassie. Now this is a very powerful and very temporary bonus. Only 90 days, but 25% division attack, which is huge. As soon as the bonus finishes, let us attack in the north and use makeshift bridges, I suppose. No need to force attack, but we are attacking over a river, so the makeshift bridges will help quite a lot. And in the next focus, we shall modernize our army, or we can do lessons of war, which actually gives us 10% defense, so it's better at this moment. I could simultaneously attack the south, or we could deal with the north first. Dealing with the north first is the safer option. Let's do that. Enemy desertions, excellent. We get extra guns and manpower. Well, they lose extra guns and manpower. Those guns will go to the front lines very soon. As you can see, the Italians are being crushed. We have built our strength up quite a lot, and this temporary bonus is extremely powerful. Now, you could micromanage a little bit to get the port faster, like for example try and go around here, but they are very likely to be defending that port. Such a move will probably not work, but you can try it like I'm doing right now. Now, the bonus only works in the north, which is why I'm not activating the south. See, we're almost at the port, and they're trying to reinforce said port. Let's try to pin the units in place here. They'll likely reinforce it anyway, but we should be able to crush them. 25% attack bonus is pretty good. With all the modifiers, it's not that huge, but it is big enough. Right, over the river, makeshift bridges again. And the port is ours, which means these guys are as good as dead. The Northern Thrust has succeeded. And we can do improved worker conditions again. Let's do that and fix that stability we've lost. As you can see, they don't really have a lot of troops down here. We could succeed if we just attacked the south right now. Well, let's be extra cautious and not do that yet. Also, make sure the port is held. I'm going to create a fallback line order in the port and leave, say, 3 units there, just to hold it. Now we've encircled the Italians, and we will kill them. Resistance to occupation. This is what I've been talking about earlier. This has 45% resistance right now. It's going to hurt our units. But I've prioritized the garrisons, and the guns we're producing are going to the garrisons, which are under martial law. So as soon as we get enough guns, this will be kinda contained. And the Italians are taken care of. I'm pretty sure our southern army is strong enough to beat the Italians down here on their own, but why risk it? I'm gonna send them reinforcements from the north. But first, a fallback line here. We could do a garrison order, but this way we could mix fallback lines with frontline orders. This is 4 provinces, so let's leave 2 in each. That will do. That's 5 in the port and 2 in each of the other ones. And the rest of you will support the southern attack with 19 units, which is almost 2 armies. Get in position. Supplies are going to be a little tricky, but nothing to really worry about, especially if we have a logistics wizard. Now, theoretically, we could do fait accompli right now, and that would give us all the northern territories, but we want everything. Lessons of war complete. Let's ignore the mercenaries. It's just 5 units that will go away after the war. Time to modernize the army. And the Italians have sent an offer of peace. Now we could accept that, but we wouldn't get all of their territory. So never. We can have this offer again by doing a focus. Right, are you guys in position? Yeah, pretty much. Although the enemy is not attacking, let's activate the orders on both armies. This will not take too long. And the next doctrine, please. Now, we could have done the attack earlier. I did kind of waste some time waiting for the perfect situation. However, this is supposed to be a very replicable guide that works almost every time, which is why I waited so long. If you're having trouble, if you fail the attack, just wait a little bit longer, because the next 2 escalation events weaken the Italians even more. Essentially, once you've set up the defensive lines and are holding them, you're fine. But remember, if Italy calls Germany to the war, you'll have to contend with that. And then the peace option no longer works, because it only pieces you out with Italy. And if you're still at war with Germany, they'll just call Italy back in. Yellow River. Don't need to micromanage anything. Now, they are having trouble with supplies. Nothing I can do about that now. Now, we could build railroads, but we just don't have the industrial capacity to do so, sadly. Weapons too. Munich Agreement. Yeah, I kind of need to hurry up, right? The war is coming soon. More competing machines. One of the ports is taken. I'll leave 3 units there. Oh, and here comes the second port. Both ports are mine. The Italians are as good as dead. Let's keep pushing and finish them off. Focus is finished. Germany's gonna do Memel now, I think, and then fate of Czechoslovakia, if I'm not mistaken. We still have some time. Of course, we don't really need more time, because we're about to win, but I'm not going to do fait accompli yet. You can do that now, and just end the war right there. But there are 2 reasons you might want to wait. We'll discuss them in a bit. Now, a little bit of attention needs to be paid here. These will boost your forces, but the peacekeeping forces and the Fetno Derash are the things you might want to pay attention to, because we are too poor to create a spy agency. This is indisputable. We're just very, very poor. We have 4 factories at the moment. But if we do peacekeeping forces and then the Fetno Derash, this creates a spy agency for us. So if you want to do spies, do pay attention to this focus. To finish them off, please. And that's the end of Italians in Ethiopia. Oh, I did not select the focus. Now we can actually develop Sheva. 2 civilian factories. And let's set up some more defenses on the shores, or the remaining troops of this army will be assigned there. And you guys go to the capital, because this has terrible, terrible attrition. Let's take operational reserves. We didn't reach level 8. Almost. 98% there. Because now that we own the territory, well, we almost own the territory, it might be a good idea to get some supplies in there. So let's create a railway to the capital, and 2 to these ports down here. Will help with the attrition down. Oh, looks like I made a mistake. When I was in myself influencing politics, I could have taken a very quick decision to boost my infrastructure everywhere. I have not taken it, delaying it for later to be able to affect all my territories. Apparently, it is no longer available at our current situation. Unfortunate. Now, we are still at war with Italy, which means we couldn't even do total mobilization and women in the workforce. But instead, let's just flip to extensive conscription. Total mobilization is a mixed bag. And now we're up to 5% recruitable population from the 4.5 we had before modernization. And also, no penalties to industry. Now, sadly, we don't have factories to build those railways. The northern railway can be done through a focus. This one. The southern through this one. Other railways are relatively cheap to build. You know what? Our factory output is pretty low anyway, and manpower is going to be important for us. I'm going to do service bar requirement, while we still can. Survival against all odds. Excellent. Oh, I thought this was permanent. This is just against Italy for the duration of the war. But it gives us an additional 20% to attack and defense. So if you are having trouble defeating them at the point I did, just wait for this to trigger, and then you have 20% to everything. If you wait a little bit longer, we'll get the People's War. That's half a year, which is dangerous because Germany. Ah, interesting. One of the events I would have welcomed earlier. We no longer care about the balance very much, so we can pay 150 political power to get slightly faster construction in one state. We can get some penalties, or we can just move our slider to the left. So let's just move it to the left. Maybe I'll get the infrastructure decision again. Not sure. We're secure from naval invasions. Now they're trying, but even if they take it, they will not have a port, and our port is more heavily defended. I have prolonged the war so that I could change my manpower laws. And now it's December 38. It is time to end the war, unless of course you want it to continue. For what reason, you may ask? Well, if you want to join the Allies and fight the Axis together, your best course of action would be to actually not take the focus until Germany fights you. And when Germany joins a war, then you take the focus, you peace out with Italy temporarily, their former colonies become yours, but you're still at war with Germany, Italy comes back in, now you own this territory, and you can continue beating Italy up with Allied help. Alternatively, if that is not your plan, do this focus. Fait accompli, to finish the war. Now, if we don't do this and prolong the war even longer, Italy will probably just get a rebellion here. And we would get the People's War, which is a nice event. But if we keep going after now, we risk Germany coming in. So let's not. We can develop the state thanks to the focus we did. Let's do that. Of course, if you're playing on non-historical focuses, and say Germany becomes non-aligned, then you don't need to end the war yet. You can bleed the Italians a little bit more, and all our guns and manpower going towards garrisons, as they should. Germany claims Memel. Now there's still fate of Czechoslovakia and then Molotov Ribbentrop, so we could theoretically keep going to get the People's War before Germany joins. But let's just end the war now. Victory! This signals a new start for Africa. White peace with Italy, and we get all the territory we control. As you can see, this is now ours. And this opens up a new area of focuses. Very powerful focuses. And just in this tree there are 4 paths to take. For final paths, through the King of Kings, Lord of Lords and Elect of God focuses, we get insane amounts of stability and war support and political power, also extra compliance. We can just go conquering after that. Towards African unity, as well as support anti-colonial resistance, lets us use our lots of political power that we're going to have to start uprisings in colonies. And with this, they'll join our faction that we create. With this, we get to liberate war goals on all the colonizers, Pan-Africanism. We can embrace our identity as the one true heir of Solomon, gaining a war goal on the UK, or finally, we can become God and get Jamaica. Now, if you're not familiar with that, the Rastafarian movement hailed Haile Selassie as an incarnation of God. We can embrace that identity and become a god. So we can do it alone, incite new rebellions in Africa, or join one of the great factions. One of the options is to actually join the Axis and fight the Allies together with them, and then betray them to get the rest of Africa. Or go German in Jamaica. But the subject of this guide was to win as Ethiopia, and I'm pretty sure you can reliably do that if you replicate my steps. Let me know what you think about this video, get the expansion through my link, and also tell me in the comments, because we're going to end it here, which path I should take. Should I continue this, fulfilling one of these focuses? Should I make a new video aiming for one of them, and if so, which one? Or maybe explore one of the other paths in the focus tree, like communism or being a little destroying Italy from the inside. So yeah, that's it for today, and also let me know if my strategy works for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.